Hello, MouseHunt, and welcome to Feedback Friday. It is September, the 3rd of September, 2022. My name's Dave. Hello, everybody in the chat. Looks like I got about 60 hunters hanging out at the moment. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. The first Feedback Friday of September. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but I feel like I blinked and several months flew by. The summer just is in the rearview mirror, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know how you feel in the chat. Raise your hand if you feel like, ooh, I just blinked and several months flew by. I can't believe it's September, but here we are. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hey, Ice Killer, always nice to see you. Shotgun Jack, Hank, Summit, Keith, hello. To hope you and the devs have a nice long weekend. Well, hey, same to you if it's a long weekend in your neck of the woods as well. It's Labor Day on Monday, so we do have the day off. Hopefully you have a nice long weekend as well if you're having one. Scrib Dev, finally Friday. It's finally here. Hey, TGIF, it's Friday. Jonathan, hello. KDM, Tammy. Yudoshira, Lady Nutsy, hello, hello. Joel, many a hunters filing on in here. Well, today I thought we would take a little bit of a closer look at the upcoming Folklore Forest Treasure Maps. Now it's September, and we are aiming to have those in the game by the end of September. So I'll take a little bit of a closer look, a little bit of a tease of some of the rewards to expect, maybe kind of get player impressions and sentiments as well. It's always nice to get an opportunity to get feedback before it's even in the game, kind of help mold our final decisions as we play test and everything, kind of see how the ideas held up once we actually start playing it a little bit. And it's nice to have player perspective in the back of our minds as well, so we know kind of what to tweak, what to tune, maybe help push a decision one way or another. There's also a whole other host of things coming out with treasure maps. I know if you've tuned into previous Feedback Fridays, we touched base on some quality of life improvements, a few tweaks, especially the mobile interface, updating what the button there says when you're in the pond, showing how many pennies you could loot based on what cheese you have armed. A few other little quality of life things, the table, being able to opt to have your bait disarm itself when you finish writing an encyclopedia or any book for that matter. So if you're using really powerful charms or your denture base to hunt the Mythweaver, when that comes to an end, the game can disarm your bait. So basically the game would pause and wait for you to come back, so you don't keep burning charms while you're away, but you could opt in and out of that at your leisure while you're writing a book. So quite a few things in the pipeline beyond just maps, but it's always great to be able to get some feedback, early impressions from the area, and use that treasure map release as an opportunity to just tweak, tune, add a little polish where it might be needed. Wrong date, Dave. Is it really not? It is September 2nd. Well, that didn't take long. Thank you for pointing that out, Ice, in the chat. It is not September 3rd. It is September 2nd. I'm just wishing an entire day to be gone. That didn't take long for me to mess up a date, eh? Keith asking, are Brian and Joel still around? No, Joel kind of moved on to other projects, but Brian still is. Yeah, Brian's still around. Nathan says good morning. Good morning to you, Nathan, as well. Hope you're doing well. Tammy, yes, please. You constantly forget to change the denture base and your ultimate lucky power charms. Well, it's in the pipeline. It's coming with treasure maps. It's looking good so far. So it looks like we're on track toward the end of the month. We'll be able to get maps and those quality of life improvements into the Folklore Forest. Chong says, when is the Folklore Forest map expected to come out? Well, as I just kind of said there, getting caught up on chat here, but toward the end of September. And so it'll be a little bit of a buffer as well, because the Halloween event is just around the corner. That's coming in October. So we definitely kind of want to try to at least get a few weeks in between the map release and Halloween, so you can kind of spend a few weeks exploring maps and exploring their rewards as well. And there's a good segue there. Ken asking, any idea when the Halloween event will start? That's the next event. Correct, that is right. It should be like middle of October off the top of my head. I think we have a date, but I don't have it in front of me, and I already messed up one date. I won't tempt fate with another one, Ken. So if you look at when last year's Halloween event starts, it's going to be roughly in the same area. Usually it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday, depending on how things shake out. YX, hi Dave, any idea when the second part of Folklore Forest will be released? No timeline on that whatsoever. We're going to kind of wrap up maps, have ideation, but we haven't even started any artwork or anything, any official work on kind of the next area to add to the region yet. We can kind of let the table of contents and stuff simmer for a little bit. Script says no long weekend this time. Try again next week. Oh dear, well, Yeah, it's Labor Day here in Canada, and I believe the United States as well. On Monday is Labor Day. I think it's a long weekend for our friends to the south as well. Probably October 11th is Hank's guess. Jonathan asking if there'll be a King's giveaway event. Lots of questions of when different events may occur. We'll see. No immediate plans for another giveaway. I know we're trying to get Big Jack onto the roadmap. There's been some requests to have Jack visit. We couldn't quite get her to visit in the summer. We opted for the jet stream instead. So maybe we could try to heat things up at the start of winter, and during those cold months after the Great Winter Hunt, maybe Jack can come and warm us all up with some spicy treats. And Daniel saying Big Jack where? Dallas, you'd prefer if you're trapped in paused rather it switch to saved setup. That's kind of, it's in the idea bank as well, but unfortunately it's just not something we can make a reality, is have the kind of library the way the floating islands works. Kind of just still some more R&D to go around there. As soon as we bring that functionality to more and more areas, it's just a little bit of a can of worms, or it's a slippery slope of having to support that. I think we need to consolidate it and make it a feature of the game, not of a specific area. But with that comes a lot of other kind of question marks as well. So no immediate plans to add anything like that. But the compromise is the disarm cheese. So kind of at least, you don't waste any supplies, and you can still opt to start your book run maybe at the start of your day. So you kind of know you'll be around rather than if you're, going to sleep soon or something like that. Jack, please, says Elliot. Lots of love for Jack, eh? We'll take a little closer look at the treasure map release for Folklore Forest. So it's actually 2 maps we're planning on adding. One is kind of a short map. It's going to take place in the farm and the pond, cost relics, coins, and pennies. Not a significant number of them, but a modest amount of relics, coins, and pennies to find a modest amount of derby curd as well as some other rewards, which are your ancient charms, your points, your gold. I think we have some spore charms in the chest, unless I'm mistaken. But this one's a little bit more niche, but one use of it is, hey, maybe you are writing your encyclopedia and the Mythweaver is showing up and you're kind of getting on a lucky run here and you didn't get enough derby curd, which means you cannot create more final draft and you might have hunts remaining on your encyclopedia. This is kind of one way to save a run by kind of sacrificing some relics, some coins, and some pennies. You can go back to the farm and the pond and get some derby curd without having to visit the table of contents, which means you can resupply while you're writing a book. Or maybe you just want to get some more curd while you're collecting your papyrus and your ink to make cheese as well. You could be doing this map along the side there as well and kind of get a modest amount of derby curd. So not a game-changing amount by any stretch of the imagination, but hey, maybe you can save a run if you didn't quite stock up enough final draft before you begun. You can do a map and make a few more pieces to try to make it, see how far you go. Or just as, hey, nice to have, may as well do it while you're collecting your ink and your papyrus, and you'll have that much more curd when you show up at the table of contents. Scared of thinking about spicy winter soup to heat up some hunters, eh? As well as a lengthier map that's going to take place in all 3 areas. So you'll definitely need to be well equipped to take that one on. It costs relics and prizes. Has some more substantial rewards for all 3 areas. So kind of help you get back to the Mythweaver that much quicker if you're doing this map. Give you some supplies to kind of help you get through there. The rare chests can contain condensed creativity. At least at the moment, the non-rare chests do not contain condensed creativity, but they have some other items. So dusting the map will add condensed creativity to both the shorter map and the lengthier map. And names are kind of subject to change here. I haven't quite have it off the top of my head there, but I believe the higher tier one's called a prelude map of some sort, and the other one's kind of like the great outdoors right now is what we're working with, because you're kind of fishing and you're farming. Hank, that's good. Hank's liking it in the chat. Scrib, creativity is scarce, it seems. It can be a little bit where this is one more source of it, as well as kind of adding potentially some other sources for it as well. I'll kind of trickle in a little bit more. It's definitely a resource you can use strategically. Definitely, if you're going to use it, I like to use it in the pond when I have my stormy clam and bear going. That's a good time. As well as when I'm writing kind of with final draft. I tend to hold on to any of the creativity I found along the way, and I make sure I have enough to write with final draft. 1 piece of creativity for every final draft I'm going to use. Joel saying great to be able to get derby curd, not the table of contents. Yeah, there's one kind of awkward setup there with, I don't know if awkward's the right word, but because when you start your run, you don't quite know how long it's going to last. And so it's a little exciting, or, it's a decision to be had, right? You have to decide, well, how well prepared should I be going into this run? But if you just get extraordinarily lucky or something like that, it can kind of be a bit of a drag if you can't finish your run. So at least this is some option. Now, it's still not as good as just being prepared when you start. That would still probably progress things a lot quicker because the best way to get derby curd is by writing with second draft. So even if that's a little counterintuitive, you get back more curd than you use to create second draft. So that's the best way to get your derby curd. But again, if you're writing with final draft and kind of the Mythweaver showed up a few more times than you expected, there's no way to get more curd without ending your writing session. So you can kind of pick up this map, go back to the farm in the pond, get some papyrus and some ink, but also get a little bit of curd, and hopefully that'll be enough just to kind of make do, although next time you might be a little bit better prepared. Daniel asking, is that a new charm below? It sure is. So down in the corner there, I think an astute hunter correctly guessed a couple weeks ago, we had it on stream as well. It is in fact a rainbow spore charm. So it combines a rainbow and an ultimate spore to create a rainbow spore. Now, right now, those are going to be in the maps. Now, kind of long term, we'd like to explore how charms work even further so you can combine your charms up. Seems like we've had a lot of positive feedback around things like snowball charms, kind of upgrading ancient charms and floating islands. How you can trade 2 ancients for a super, 2 supers for an extreme, etc. And the spore charms as well. Now, Folklore Forest and in Fungal Cavern kind of implemented the same system there. Again, this is outside the context of Folklore Forest Treasure Maps. Please, grain of salt, because these are just ideation plans that have yet to reach fruition here. But trying to eventually pare down the charms in the game. There's too many of them. There's like over 200 charms. It's near impossible to remember what they all do and where they come from. We want to kind of pare it down to power, luck, spore, and ancient as sort of those main theme of charms. And then having an interesting system to be able to upgrade them. So, hey, maybe you just have way too many superpowers. You can turn them into extreme powers, turn them into ultimate powers, combine an ultimate power and an ultimate luck to make an ultimate lucky power charm, add something from the Rift to create the Rift version of that. But again, a lot yet to come. Nothing to do with this map update. Absolutely nothing to do with this map update, that kind of upgrading system. But we did want to put just this one kind of upper echelon of charm inside of these maps. So we've spent a little time ideating and just trying to, lay out a little bit of runway so we know where we're going with it long term. And that's a key word. Long term would be the goal for that charm overhaul. So again, just to be clear, because I think I maybe kind of got lines of communication crossed here, that is a new rainbow spore charm. It is going to be in these treasure chests, or at least one of them. But kind of no immediate plans to do any sort of crafting with the charms or like do any combination, but that's kind of where we'd like to go. So open to feedback and player impressions of that idea and help kind of shape it if it'll ever make it into the game. YX, do spore charms have any special effect when used in Folklore Forest? No, and that's something we're kind of moving away from. We don't want charms to have special effects in areas. Something that's worked a lot better for that is things like condensed creativity, fireball fuel, lantern oil, things that you activate from the HUD, and that leaves your charm slot open to improve your catch rate. And so there's no awkwardness. Like if there was something that had a special effect in Folklore Forest, when you're hunting in the pond with your Stormy Clam and Bear, all of a sudden your charm slot is kind of held hostage. You can't use it to help you catch more mice. And kind of putting something in the HUD alleviates that. Okay, I can click a button and consume something else to boost my loot drops, while still being able to use this plethora of powerful charms at my disposal to increase my catch rate. And the case in point here, the Clue mouse there. I definitely have a good charm armed right now to boost my catch rate. Karen, can Jack please be after some leprechaun mice, eh? Hey, leprechauns are always out on the loose, Karen, for sure. If you get lucky, but their encounter rate is up there in a giveaway. So we'll see if we can fit in a giveaway as well at some point. But I think it seems like there's a lot of enthusiasm for Jack to visit. So we might put Big Jack at a higher priority than a King's giveaway event. Ash asking, sorry if you missed it, but is the lengthier map also going to contain some derby curd? You know, I won't misspeak. I know it has things to sort of help you as well. Like you get other area supplies, but actually, maybe I should just look at it, right? Let's take a peek. And again, subject to change, but it's good to get a little tease out there, get early impressions from hunters. Here, we're going to use two computers at the same time. Let's take a look at the old Folklore Forest Prelude Treasure Chest. So that one, no, that one does not have curd at the moment. It has things to help you in the pond and the farm, though. I think I did see actually a question too about that purple potion. That is a potential reward as well for doing these maps. Kind of an uncommon reward to help you make Stormy Clam and Bear just a little bit faster and help kind of get some ink going. That's actually a good segue as well to touch base on this last point I have up here, and that's a new farm boss mouse, if you will, new most powerful mouse at the farm. And if you watched Feedback Friday last week with Jacob, I'm pretty sure he was illustrating, pointing the wrong way, illustrating this mouse on the Feedback Friday art edition last week, the Monstrous Midge Mouse. And that'll kind of be a new powerful adversary at the farm. So it's kind of a pretty popular suggestion from players was, hey, the farm almost feels too easy, especially if they're that tier 2 tactical trap. And that was quite intended because that's above and beyond trap. You know, if you have a massively upgraded prestige base and you're using the slumbering stone sentinel, slumbering, right? It's not sleeping, the slumbering, that's the tier 2. You know, it's kind of meant to be fairly easy, but hey, this is a way to opt into an extra challenge. So if you are that well equipped, and if you're not, you might want to avoid this mouse, maybe capture it once for collection's sake. But now at least you can opt into this extra challenging mode at the farm where this adversary shows up. You're going to need some big charms. You're going to need a good trap. You probably want a high upgraded prestige base to go after it. Drops lots of papyrus, and you're growing a new type of plant. Also provides a use for excess coins as well. Your crop coins, you're going to be able to use those to make a twisted version of a papyrus plant. You get a little bit more papyrus from that plant, but this mouse also drops a lot of papyrus. So if you're able to catch it, if you're able and you're strong enough to hunt for it, it's a great way to get more papyrus and start using up any excess crop coins you have. If you have all the upgrades built, it's pretty well a great way to sink your crop coins to get more papyrus. Basically convert crop coins into papyrus to get to the table contents that much quicker, but you're going to have to go through this mouse, the Monstrous Midge. It's also good to touch base on this kind of motivated a few changes to how uprooting works. You know, basically canceling a plant. If you plant at any point, you can undo that. You can uproot your plant, and right now you get all your materials back when you do that. That's going to change to be proportional to the number of hunts taken. So if the plant is halfway grown, when you uproot, you get back half the supplies used to plant it. And, you know, we were okay with the uprooting. It came up during play testing. You can kind of hunt the plants, uproot, and plant them again and kind of keep hunting the locust. But the locust wasn't a very special character, and you would be sacrificing a lot of papyrus to do that because most of your papyrus you get from harvesting the plant, not from hunting the locust. The locust, though, does provide extra, right? It's kind of gravy on top, whereas this mouse drops quite a bit of papyrus, so it would kind of feel a little different, especially the theme, the identity of the mouse. You know, if you're going for a king's crown for that mouse, you know, be able to hunt it, uproot your plants and plant them again would always kind of in the back of your mind think, well, should I do that to get a crown for this mouse? It's not very fun. I got to throw away papyrus. So I don't know. It had some friction to it. So there's one change coming with the maps when this mouse is introduced is when you uproot your plants, you'll get back your supplies proportional to the number of hunts taken. Norman chiming in, correct, there are no curds in the lengthier map chest. Hello, Norman, you're off today. Get to relaxing, Norman. Get to relaxing, but thanks for popping in. Sable says, yeah, Jack would be a higher priority than giveaway. Definitely, please. Karen, 14 years dry without a leprechaun. MouseHunt is a game of patience and perseverance. I think it took me 12 years to get my first leprechaun, so all good things come to those who wait eventually. I guess, you know, MouseHunt's great. Teaches real virtues like just persistence and never giving up. Ken, is November the normal time when the new Relic Hunter maps are released? Usually, we aim for November. It's kind of a good time to get in the Relic Hunter season change, because typically we don't want to launch a new area around then because the Great Winter Hunt's just around the corner. So that is the tentative plan. It seems like all's good. It's going to kind of be a little bit more low key this year. Get in some new limited edition rewards for the Relic Hunter season change. But probably not a lot of new mapping features or anything like that. I think we're just kind of focusing our energy on other events and areas. Ash, I'm catching up on the chat. Indeed, it was the slumbering boulder. All right. Chong, does it mean less materials get returned if we hunt for 10 and uproot? Yes. So you get back fewer materials. It's almost like you're using your materials every time you hunt. So it's proportional to how many hunts you've taken and how grown your plants are. Tim says, higher attraction rate with the 3 new plants will leave some stuff to be discovered on release day of how to track down this mouse. KDM, how often can we encounter it during the 20 hunts? Again, I think we'll leave that to some experimentation when it comes out. It's always good to kind of, when a new mouse is first discovered, that hunters have to kind of figure out the best way to tackle that challenge. Moo asking, who still has nanny charms? Does the uprooting changes make logical sense, but you're a little sad that takes away an alternate strategy? Fair enough, yeah, and for sure, it was a pretty niche strategy, though, because you're sacrificing so much papyrus to get a few more coins that we were worried even it has some friction to it. Like, if you do need, I just need a few hundred coins, maybe I should do this thing where I tear my plants back out of the ground, but it also has a bad feel to it. Like, don't get me wrong, like sacrificing one thing to get more of something else's can be an interesting decision, but it just kind of felt like you're taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or even 1 step forward, 10 steps back, and ultimately I think we were fine with how it was, but with kind of this new mouse having a different identity, and ultimately it's more fun if this mouse can drop a lot of papyrus, and that would just kind of break things down where you ever only need to own 3 of these new special plants to really get things going. KDM, will this mouse drop derby curds? How much coins does it drop? I believe you get back no coins. So kind of part of the identity of this as well is a way to use your excess coins. So you're spending coins, so you don't get coins. You spend coins to get lots of papyrus. You're converting your coins into papyrus. Also puts it in an interesting spot where to really, before you think about hunting this mouse long term, you probably want to have a lot of your upgrades in order, because you're going to be using coins to be able to attract this mouse, which is going to kind of set you back from some upgrades. So it does help feed into that identity of this is kind of a big bad adversary that you're going to be going after, and you need to be kind of fully equipped and upgraded and ready to go. Ryan crossing fingers for Karen's leprechaun. Best of luck. Ashley, will the new Midge Mouse be on the new maps? You bet it sure will be. What's a new boss mouse without a map to track him down on? Turkey Soup, when will this new mouse and plant be added? So we're aiming for the end of September. So I don't know if it's literally the last week of September, but it very well could be. But we're hoping to have everything wrapped up. I think all the implementation and everything is done as of today. So we're going to be starting some play testing next week, making sure we have all of our ducks in a row. And if it all goes well, then it should be good to launch at the end of September, unless some problem comes up in playtesting, some unforeseen challenge, and we got to go back to the drawing board a little bit. Aber asking, will the Folklore Forest Mice be added to other maps when these new maps get released? Ooh, someone asked that a couple weeks ago, and I don't know off the top of my head. I know we kind of scheduled when to add them. I don't think it's with part of this release. Now, don't quote me on that, but I am about 60% certain we scheduled it, I think, for next year, or maybe in Halloween. I'm tempted to load it up and check, but I don't know if I'll be able to see it that quickly. Chong asking, if the Monstrous Midge is the boss and uproot strategy is no longer viable, shouldn't the Midge attraction rate be in the range above 80%? Well, you'll have to wait and see. Monica loved the finger of the nanny, the icon for the power type. David only has 148 nanny charms. Well, if it's any consolation, David, if you only have 148, they are pretty much useless, so I don't think you need too many more than that. Will you be adding more cheese from recent areas for selection as part of the daily reward chest? We did just add cloud cheesecake to the chest, so kind of it's something that comes down the road. New areas, we typically don't add them. I think maybe touched base on this a little bit a couple weeks ago. But typically it's one mechanism we use to allow new players to kind of get some supplies for an area before they show up, as kind of the game becomes larger and larger and lengthier. So, definitely it's a balance to strike without diminishing previous accomplishments. But hey, if you just sign up for the game today, it may very well be years before you can play with a friend who is at the Folklore Forest or in the Floating Islands. And so there's just a few spots. Like King's Credits are also a means of doing that, where as you go through the game, some of the older areas, you can go through them slightly quicker, at least get the adventures done, so you can kind of be able to play with friends. And there'll always be additional above and beyond goals and lots of great, sink your teeth in challenges. Like maybe you want to go and get the nugget mouse or something like that, or you want to crown the shelter mouse. Well, that's going to take some dedication to do it, but at least sort of a lot of those main important adventures, you can kind of get through those a little bit quicker so you can play with friends. So into that effect, we typically don't add that cheese to the loyalty chests until an area, at least there's one area that comes after it, if not a little bit after that. KDM, you think it would be helpful if this boss dropped derby cards? Well, agree to disagree. The farm is really about getting papyrus, and the table of contents is where you get your derby cards. That said, hey, there is a new map now. Not now, but there will be a new map as well. That short map that takes you to the farm and the pond, you can get a few derby card while you're getting your ink and your papyrus, but you do have to spend some relics, coins, and pennies to be able to do it. Subra asking, any more sneak peeks on the Unstable book? That is a fantastic question, because, why, yes, there is a sneak peek on actually 2 new Unstable items, and they aim to provide a long-term use for Nobel prizes, especially when you have all your upgrades, you've purchased both of the traps. There may even be some new rewards added to the shops as well for Nobel prizes, so you might want to pick those up as well. But hey, eventually you have everything that you need. It would be nice if there's a permanent consumable use for the prizes, and these Unstable items are kind of what we came up with. 2 of them, one is called a manuscript, the other one an opus. And the manuscript provides supplies to help you get back to the Mythweaver sooner. So you kind of poke it, you get some area supplies, kind of helps you sustain your supplies a little bit better. But maybe you have all the upgrades and you're kind of winding down, you're ready to move on to other areas, maybe even longer term than that. The opus costs quite a bit more prizes, and that has a chance of rewarding condensed creativity as well as some very powerful charms. So you can kind of dual purpose, help you maximize some of your final draft runs, get you some extra condensed creativity to go through those, as well as sort of cash out, and now at least you're done and you're kind of, okay, I have no prizes left, I've got a little bit of condensed creativity left, and now I've got a lot of powerful charms. So those charms could help you hunt for the Mythweaver, or hey, you could pack them up in your inventory and take them on to the next area for another challenge as well. So just kind of something to cash out those prizes, sink them into something that'll either help you in the Folklore Forest a bit, or hey, if you're kind of winding down there, they give you something you can use in other areas as well. But the manuscript, that costs fewer prizes, and it's something to just kind of help you sustain a little bit. After maybe you finish up a run, if you're eager to get back to the Mythweaver, you could poke a few of those, get some supplies, get you back there that much quicker. Long saying Iceberg uses feet, Sunken City uses meters. Which does Nadia use and which area is out of touch, eh? Well, hey, just like we're here in Canada and we use both, so I guess Nadia takes some inspiration from us as well. I don't know if it's just kind of the culture, the geographic proximity to the United States, but in Canada, oddly enough, we use both feet and we use meters. It depends on what we're measuring. So if you're measuring a room and you give the measurements in centimeters and meters, a contractor or carpenter is just going to look at you sideways, like, why isn't that in feet and inches? But if you're going to be traveling a distance down the highway, no, that's in kilometers. That is not in miles. So anyway, side tangent there. My horn is ready. Let's see, how will my luck fare? I think I'm feeling lucky. I think I caught a mouse. Will it sync up? I swear. There we go. Tammy, King's Credit should probably play a lot more common. Should probably be a lot more common from early game area adventures. Yeah, fair enough. That could use a bit of a second look. Right now, though, the adventures that give Kings credits are kind of, I don't want to call them side quests, but they typically don't unlock more areas. They're kind of accomplishment uh, adventures, kind of completionism. Make sure I've captured all of the mice. I've defeated every kind of adversary there is in a storyline somewhere. But again, kind of, grain of salt, blue sky, long term. It's just one of the many hundreds of ideas in the idea bank there is, but to try to make King's credits a little bit more ubiquitous throughout the whole game. Right now, they're the type of thing it's very easy to forget about them while you're playing. Incorporate them into the HUD. A lot of the ways like Magic Essence works when you're crafting something. Maybe I'm in Balak's Cove and I need more pinches of annoyance. There we go. I got a raisins of wrath, pinch of annoyance, and bottle of rage. There's the 3 items. Maybe I have 20 of 2 of them, and I have like 5 of the other. Hey, King's credits are a great way to even out those loot drops. Or heck, you just show up there and you just want to rush through to get to Balak as quickly as you can. You could just go to the King's Arms and buy those. But hey, it'd be nice if the HUD just had that right there. So just constant little reminder like, hey, do you want to use them here or do you want to save them for later? But anyway, that's yet another thing in the idea bank that hopefully one day we can get to. What is that bottle on the bottom right? I must be behind on chat. I think KDM's referring to that little bottle down there on the previous section. That is a new potion coming, something that's going to help you get Stormy Clamambear in a new way, but we'll kind of leave that as a surprise when treasure maps come out. And, it is a potion, and come to think of it, we might be getting toward the season where there might be some different ways of making potions. I don't know if you can think of anything coming up where you might be able to make potions in a very unique way, but that might also be a little bit of a teaser of a new type of potion that would not only arrive with maps, but also maybe be obtainable in some other ways over the next couple months. Karen, there needs to be a magic phone book, eh? Just has everybody in Narnia. When was the last time you picked up a phone book, eh? It's been a while for me. Diamond, when are the new cheese varieties going to be added to the King's Caliber Daily Cheese? Just, I think somebody else asked that earlier, kind of dug into that. Maybe he can rewind it, but not anytime soon. Basically, we don't add that until the areas are a little bit older. They're not for the newest areas. He'll also mixing US and British English spelling, eh? Yeah, some in Canada we use some here and some there, so it kind of depends, eh? The fun of regional dialects. Nathan, back to Halloween. Hey, that's a good hint of maybe what we were just talking about. Will the shop sell evil extract for Mousedrake and reagent at the same rate as instant brewing cost? This was highly requested last year. That doesn't ring a bell. Sell evil extract for Mousedrake plus reagent at the same rate as instant brewing cost. No, if anything, I think we were streamlining the HUD a little bit, some quality of life to make it easier to brew. But typically everything will want to be thematic and go through the cauldrons rather than kind of going through the shop to do something that's thematically, you're in the game, you're brewing it. It's not a shop purchase. Not subtle at all about Halloween, Dave, says KDM. Oh, yeah, I don't think I was trying to be too subtle. Draco just joining. Were there a hint when maps would be coming out? We're aiming for the end of September, and we seem to be in pretty good shape. But next week, we're going to start playtesting, and that's often where all of the good conversations get unearthed as all of our designs and theories get tested with everything in play. So we'll see if everything goes according to plan. We have at least 2-3 weeks to play test everything, fine-tune it, get everything into a place that we're happy with. And so it seems like a reasonable timeline to me, unless something comes up during playtesting that we just have no solution for. Tibby asks, you thought the idea was to link to the clue through an architect already as the CT at the end. Maybe I missed some context there. Chong, imagine Dave using French during Feedback Friday. Nobody wants to hear my high school French, I don't think so. You share how many mice in short Folklore Forest map and the longer Folklore Forest maps? Off the top of my head, I don't quite recall, but there are fewer mice in the shorter map. I won't tempt fate and just throw a number out there because odds are I will be wrong. So hey, it can wait to be a surprise as well. And some stuff is fun to discover on release date when you first pop up on a map. Swift, how will the Folklore Forest journal theme be obtained if it exists? Excellent question. We are planning to add the journal theme with the treasure map release. And right now, hey, open to feedback on this as well. Feel free to keep suggestions coming, whether it be Discord, Facebook groups, etc. But right now, you're going to purchase it with prizes, a hefty number of prizes to get the completed theme. We're playing around with different ways to get scraps, but we just couldn't really come up with an interesting journey for that. So we just ended up just kind of keeping it simple and adding it for prizes. But maybe a hunter out there has a interesting idea of how you could obtain the theme scraps to make it a bit of a journey that isn't kind of also a little bit of a not interesting journey to go on either. As well as I believe Jacob illustrated it on Feedback Friday, so no spoilers, but there was a new airship cosmetic in the works as well. That'll be another cosmetic use or another cosmetic item you can purchase with excess prizes. And I think there's even some trap skins in the works as well, but I could be wrong there. Katie, and what's next on the agenda? Well, in terms of roadmap, we've got these maps coming in September. There's Halloween coming in October, Relic Hunter season, if all goes according to plan, in November. Of course, the Great Winter Hunt in December. And then as far as Feedback Friday, that was about all the look at maps we had. That might be a good segue into this week's trivia. Fingers crossed I hit the answer. Hey, I did. Cool. This week's question, or as Giorgio likes to refer to it, the quar. Which trap is programmed using the latest chivalric code? Let's hope I pronounced that right. I'm tempting fate here trying to pronounce that way of conjugating chivalry. I don't think this is a very challenging trivia question, and sure enough, immediately in the chat, Swift coming in with the correct answer first. The Prince Charming trap. That's not the name of the trap. I think, no, we can't accept that. The Charming Prince Bot. No, Swift had it right. The Charming Prince Bot. Alex was second with the Prince Charming trap. It is indeed the Charming Prince Bot. And I'll put the reward link in the chat for your clicking convenience as well. If I can figure out how to do that. What is going on here? Oh, there we go. All right. Sign into chat. Get out of here. I'm signed in this tab. The link is in the chat as well for your clicking convenience. I don't think I claimed it myself. Some delicious Ingenuity grubs. Savory. Always makes me want a gummy worm. I don't know if anyone's a fan of those gummy worms, but looking at that illustration always makes me want a gummy worm. Scrib, too slow. You saw answers before you even saw the question. I guess you have some bad delay. Fair enough. But hey, if anybody gets it right, everybody in the chat's a winner. And I don't think we've ever stumped chat ever. We came close once, I think, but maybe that was because occasionally what happens is I have the incorrect answer. Chong saying, have a nice weekend, Dave. Thank you very much. Same to you. It's a long weekend as well here, so looking forward to hopefully we have some nice weather. I think it might rain tomorrow, but I think then it might clear up. So, Swift, what will we call these three areas in the Folklore Forest collectively when the future Folklore Forest areas get released? Yeah, good question. We'll have to see what hunters come up with. Well, one theme scrap for each currency and one theme scrap from each chest for a total of 5 would be nice. That's kind of actually an interesting suggestion. Actually, doing one of each map, that kind of makes it a different journey as well. Something you'll experience along the way. Yeah, Dallas, you'd rather the theme scraps come at table of contents milestones, total encyclopedia volumes, number of single run. We're playing around with that a little bit, but it got hard to sort of convey how you get them. But, fair enough. There are some other theme scraps that are sort of hidden. That's kind of the identity of some of the journal themes is it's a little bit of an enigma to figure out, well, how do I get this? Like the labyrinth comes to mind. When you kind of see the one scrap, it's like, how am I going to find the rest of them, That's an interesting idea. Karen, an idea for the suggestion box. The Discord mouse The child of the glitch paw and the rock and roll mouse, perhaps used for those nanny charms. Eh? Well, I think nostalgia aside, we'll retire the parental power type someday. So no plans to kind of give it any sort of new life or purpose. To just kind of maybe lay it to rest one day. Another idea, the littering mouse or something for the ESG policy for the toxic spill, eh? KDM, you can't see how this droid could be stronger than the Chrome Monster Bot, eh? Well, I don't know. It has a lot of chivalry to it. It uses, some finesse, not just brute force. It's using speed and cunning and linguistics to its advantage. Yoshira asking, how about a Folklore Forest airship cosmetic? Is it obtained from the treasure chest or can we get them in the general store? Right now, I believe the 3 pieces are in the general store as well. So, the Chrome Prince Bot when? Probably someday, I'd imagine. The way that trap is set up, it seems like a pretty good candidate to receive a Chrome upgrade at some point in the future, but no immediate plans. It also has a horse. There you go, Alex. I mean, come on. It's on horseback. That's got to make it infinitely more powerful. The trap romances the mice, eh? Is the Rainbow Spore 20 plus luck? I think we'll leave that as a surprise and see if kind of on release date. Something we're still tuning a little bit, but definitely intend for it to be a pretty significant charm as well. Something that'll provide great utility, especially thinking about kind of the opportunities in the Folklore Forest, especially when the Monstrous Midge gets added there. Each area will kind of have that opportunistic moment where you pretty well know you're going to be facing off against a very difficult adversary. And so that being tied into something you can get from this area, just that kind of helps sustain that. Seen a lot of hunters saying things like, hey, I'm running out of some of my really juicy, heavy-hitting charms. So seems like there's be demand to add kind of another pretty juicy charm as well. So it's definitely something we're aiming to have up there. Ice, you like the parental power type. It allows you to have 100% catch rate at the Super Refactory with the Nanny Bot, eh? Script Feedback Friday themed things in the game for coming down to a Feedback Friday stream, something purely cosmetic. Got ideas floated around here and there as well, but hey, we have the reward links as well, so we'll see. I don't know if we could keep it up, but maybe if there'd just be one thing, something just an I was there type thing. Right, have there been any glitch paw sightings as a hunter who joined this year? You'd love to be able to catch one. That is part of the awkward identity of the glitch paw. You almost have to wait for something bad to happen. And, hey, in some ways it's a good thing that we haven't had to release them too often as of late. So there haven't been any recent sightings. And definitely that's kind of in the back of our minds as well. It's good to bring up every now and then. Hey, if you just want to collect that mouse, fill in that silhouette. It might be nice if at least once a year there was just a kind of non-bad time that they're released, I guess, just to make them accessible in some way, shape, or form. Gideon, what's on the whiteboard behind? I don't think I've used it in a while. It's been a few weeks, so probably nothing all too relevant. Nia, how do we release the Monstrous Midge? Well, you'll have to grow a new type of plant, but specifics, we'll let hunters figure it out on release date. Michelle, nice to see you, saying, please don't wish for glitch paws on a Friday afternoon. Fair enough. Yep. Some developers, they sell a t-shirt that just says no deploy Fridays. Just, you don't want anything bad to happen. If something bad's going to happen, you just hope it's not on a Friday afternoon. Maybe a Tuesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, something like that. We definitely avoid putting things live on Fridays as best we can. But, hey, it is good feedback as well that there should maybe be some way to get that mouse. Because what if it's just smooth sailing for the next 10 years? You'll just never be able to get that mouse. So it's good food for thought. Ice, what about intentional scheduled bad things to happen to the game so we can release the glitch paw? Oh, dear. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. No, it's good food for thought. That'd be kind of neat to maybe come up with some sort of event that it gets tied into, even if it just kind of like piggybacked on the birthday or something. Maybe there's a room where it's kind of a rare encounter or something like, hey, if you've never encountered it before, you get to capture it just once to fill in the silhouette or something like that. Might be good food for thought. This very well may be my last hunt of Feedback Friday, and it's another successful one. Throw some more ink on the pile. Some calamari is being fried up here in the pond. How are we looking here? All right, almost 3,000 ink. I'm almost ready to head back to the table. Jeremiah, we do read-only Fridays, eh? Actually, sorry I missed it, but would the Rainbow Sport Charm be available through the Unstable Opus? Well, we'll leave some things to be a surprise, but there will be some ways to grab it when the treasure map release lands. And, again, hey, don't quote me on this because it's still very much an idea in progress, but we want to add other ways of getting them as well down the road. And just kind of rethink charms, kind of streamline them, make them a little bit more simple. Even a really blue sky ideation here. In a perfect world, going back to some of the old areas that do utilize charms for gameplay mechanics, the iceberg comes to mind, and move those things into the HUD. So you would use the wax and the sticky mechanics from the heads-up display as sort of something like fireball fuel, lantern oil to that effect, because then, hey, if you're hunting those difficult mice in the iceberg, you could use a charm to help you out there. Basically, kind of going forward anyway, that's our philosophy, is trying to keep that charm slot free so it can help you catch mice better. And so far, it seems like positive feedback on that. It's fun as long as you're able to get some of those powerful charms to be able to use them strategically. It's kind of one more resource to manage. And I think that's a big part of MouseHunt for sure. Part of its identity is a resource management game. How much cheese do I have? How many charms do I have? What traps? Gold? What do I have at my disposal? How do I want to make best use of them? When and where do I use different things? Shotgun Jack with a trap skin idea for the Prince bot. Put the Monstrous bot on the horse scaled down so you have a giant bot on a tiny horse, like a boss from a certain popular game, eh? That does seem like a comedic idea. Makes me think of Shrek riding the donkey or something. YX, when would you allow Fabled rank to gain percent progression? Well, should we lift the title cap? And actually, it is a little bit awkward. On the profile, it should probably hide the percentage and, progress bars and such, and just kind of treat it like a level cap. But as we have said in the past, wisdom is the stat that levels you up. It's like the game's version of experience, which also is something that needs to be kind of tidied up and transparent to the player. That aside, though, you continue to earn wisdom even when you hit that title cap. So although you don't level up, you're still getting experience behind the scenes. So hey, if we did ever add something kind of retroactively, everyone would kind of level up like that. That's the plan anyway, unless something changes. But yeah, long term, it would be nice to sort of clean up gold points and wisdom. Like wisdom's hidden, which is pretty weird, right? Should probably be on the display somewhere. That you can see it in Larry's loot lexicon, but it should be very transparent, right? So you understand, well, how do I level up? And it's just kind of a relic of a past, a little bit of, there's legacy code, and sometimes there's legacy game design that kicks around as well. And wisdom you can't lose, whereas mice can steal points. So kind of maybe 14 years ago thought it would be weird if a mice steals points and you level back down. So we came up with a second stat. But it's a little awkward, and fair enough, 14 years is a long time to go without fixing it, but hopefully one day we can make that more transparent. Midst, if we can't get a glitch paw, then it means the devs are just too good at their job. Hey, that's a nice way to look at it. Keep the stream 24/7 for endless Kaluthus. Hey, apparently it's lucky to be hunting them on Feedback Friday. Karen, in all seriousness, the all devs are doing a great job. Well, thanks so much, Karen. Yeah, the entire team has just been knocking it out of the park. I feel like really finding a good stride this last year. Folklore Forest turned out amazing. Everybody doing just fantastic work, and it's great to see you feeling the same way. Dave, any news on a Whisker Woods journal theme? If I'm not mistaken, did Jacob perhaps illustrate one long ago? But no news to share, so it might be chilling out in the backlog. And there we go. It's 11:50. That's usually when I start to think about winding things down. See if I can catch up on the chat. If you aren't, can you use the gilded or roll charms? What about Labyrinth, though? Not sure I follow what you're saying there, Shay, in the chat. Karen, +1 to that. Yeah, I agree they are. Very nice of you to say. Yonel, why not release Glitch Paw every Christmas and New Year's for those who haven't got it? Yeah, that might be worth kind of ideating some kind of simple and easy way to just at least make it available in some sort of capacity. I don't know if Glitch Paw has a good sort of festive theme. I don't know. The only event that comes to mind for me anyway would be the birthday, because there's a little bit of a mechanical theme to it, right? Like cogs, gears, and circuitry. So, maybe we could work it into the birthday just to let people fill in a silhouette, and while still maintaining it as it's released in more areas should there something bad happen, right? If there's unscheduled downtime, the idea with the glitch paw was, where possible, add it to areas and it drops bonus loot. So, hey, you feel like maybe I missed out on some hunting, or I couldn't get into the game to change my trap setup, and, that's unfortunate, and sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. But at least the glitch paws show up to give you a little bit of free stuff to maybe help compensate a little bit that, or help you get back to where you were a little bit quicker. Dave, will there be any physical mouse hunt gathering with players soon? Nothing that we're planning, but often players plan something like that. Every Friday the 13th. That's kind of a cute idea there in the chat for the glitch pause. Just to give a little bit of scare. You see, wait, a glitch pause showed up. Is everything okay? Like, oh, okay. It's Friday the 13th. Just a little scare. Shay, how to transfer a charm to the HUD when there's already the lantern in the HUD, lantern 2 and 3. If we're going back to kind of what we were saying earlier about phasing out charms or turning them into HUD things, if I can use the iceberg as an example, right? Like lantern oil charms, I think they would kind of stay as they were. But something like the wax and the sticky charms in the iceberg going up into the HUD and being some sort of like fuel type item, whether it's, I don't know, glue and wax you're using, or whether it's just one thing and you set it into glue or wax mode. And then that just frees up the charm slot. But, again, a lot of kind of loose ends, right? There's over 200 charms, so it's kind of a big job for someone to sit down and think about, okay, which does each and every one do? And I'm sure some would kind of remain as kind of niche use charms. But the ones that are sort of baked into the very mechanics of the area, like the iceberg, just kind of doesn't work unless you can use the wax charms, whereas the lantern oil is more about, well, I'm going to sacrifice the charm slot to really try to get more clues than I even need. Or, might be interesting choices there at a little bit higher level where you have more powerful traps to help compensate for losing that charm slot. So everything would be kind of on a case-by-case basis. What about glitch pause for April Fool's Day? That might also be kind of a cute way to tie them in a not too difficult way. YXS, does the leprechaun still give cash prizes when caught? Yes, although it's just a chance. So there's different pots of gold, and if you get, I believe there's a pot of gold and a satchel of gold. And I want to say the pot of gold has a chance of a cash prize. I think so anyway. But yeah, it's a chance on a chance. And basically we kind of did that so we could release more and more leprechauns without, because they for obvious reasons, they had to be pretty scarce when they were tied to a cash prize. So kind of we went that direction so we could release some more of them as well. Would the wax and sticky charms be retired when that happens? Again, this is all theoretical, just ideation Swift, but I'd imagine some sort of conversion would take place, or just in place they would just change into a different type of item. Just you'd log in, they'd no longer be a charm. It would be like a glue stick, or I don't know, bottles of glue or something like that would be in your inventory instead, and they just kind of appear on the HUD. Anyway, case by case basis, all kind of theoretical ideation. We'd have to kind of see what works when we get there. But I should wrap things up. It's 5 minutes to noon. Hunters, thank you so much for joining me this week. I took a little sneak peek at some upcoming map stuff. Let you know the Folklore Forest Treasure Maps are scheduled to arrive at the end of September if all goes according to plan, and we seem to be in pretty good shape. 2 new types of maps. The Rainbow Spore Charm will make an appearance, as well as a new type of potion to try to get Stormy Clammerbear a little bit quicker. That'll be a reward in the maps, and maybe some potion brewing in a future event as well as 2 new Pokeball items. So be a new use for your Nobel prizes as well, and a few other things as well. We kind of touch base on journal themes, airship cosmetics, a few new other things that are kind of percolating at the same time as well. Well, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you again for joining me. Happy hunting. If it's a long weekend in your neck of the woods, like it is here, enjoy the long weekend. Hopefully you have a blast. Good luck in the hunt. We'll see you next time. It'll most likely be Jacob next week. That probably usually alternate unless somebody's off that day, or we have something poignant we want to go over on Feedback Friday, or we have something that's especially good for an art edition. So it'll most likely be Jacob with you next week, and then myself the following week. Have a fantastic weekend once again. Thank you for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
2.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. Just when I think I'm safe, oh. Turns out I'm never safe. Oh, just when you think you're safe.